All right, so now we will get started. So this is Presidents-elect Training Seminar number 1. There will be a second one in February, but this year's been different. We hosted a fall series of different seminars. Session number 1 was in September, and really that was about evaluating your club. And there's some great tools that Rotary International provides that can kind of help you get a base place as far as where you're at. And that's important so you know as far as where do you want to go. In session number 2 in October, we talked about building your leadership team. And for some of you, your leadership teams were elected around the same time you were, and you've been working with those people and you've known who they are. Others, you still have to identify those as far as who is your membership chair, who's your foundation chair, who's that going to be come July 1 when we kick off the new Rotary year. Session number 3 in November, we talked about goal setting. And hopefully you've already started to think about what it is that you and your club want to accomplish this year. So as far as what are those things that are important to do, and how are you going to include others in that? We also touched a little bit on the foundation. Today, during PETS-1, we're going to listen to a great guest speaker who's going to talk about leadership principles. And then we're also going to talk a little bit more about community service in this changing environment and fellowship in order to retain members in this changing environment. How are you connecting with all your members virtually or in person? After that, in February, we will have PETS-2 on February 18th. And then All Hail Pets is quickly coming up at the beginning of March. That'll be different in years past. Everyone would have gone to Columbus. That will be virtual, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we are still working through the District Leadership Assembly, which in the past has generally been in April. But these are all kind of mile markers on your way to becoming club president on July 1, and things that kind of help you stay on track to be a successful year. So question number 1, we have a poll question. So hopefully Cheryl's going to put that up here shortly. Did you attend any of the sessions this fall? And we're really only asking PEs to answer. So if you're a facilitator, a district leader, you don't necessarily need to respond, but for PEs, did you attend these sessions this fall? And you can choose multiple answers. Did you attend session 1 in September, assessing your club? Did you attend session 2, building your team in October? Did you attend session 3, setting club goals in the Rotary Foundation in November? All of the above? None of the above? Just to kind of get a gauge. We've had good participation. I think this morning is our highest. We have about either 32 presidents-elect or club representatives, but this kind of helps us as far as find out where you're at right now. All right, so it looks like we have answers. So some of you did choose all of the above, about 40%, so 2/5. A quarter of you attended session 1, a little bit over a quarter attended session 2, and a lower number attended session number 3, and then also a lower number attended, didn't do any. So we have recorded virtually as far as those previous sessions. Those are on the district PE page, and I will send out those links after this session. But those are available to basically view. So you can kind of go back if you didn't have the opportunity, if you didn't have the time, or maybe even if you were just recently elected to your position. But those are things that will basically kind of go over and help you get ready. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our fearless leader, District Governor-elect Larry Lohman. Larry is going to introduce other district leaders that are on the call, beyond our facilitators and moderators. But he's going to talk a little bit about himself because he's leading during your year also. So you guys are attached at the hip. Larry, it's your time to shine.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. We've had, as Ryan said, several great meetings with very good speakers who brought a lot of good information from Rotary International to us. I've been thinking about, kind of an inspirational thing to say this time around, and I kept writing things down and kept looking at it and realizing a lot of it was cliche. And then I remember back to my year as president-elect, which wasn't too long ago, and words that were given to my class over and over again. And it was simple. You know, you know your clubs better than any of us. You know what your club history is. And, you know, go into your year knowing that you're going to benefit your club as well as, you know, have fun, you know, enjoy your year as president. Um, you know, that was probably the best words, best advice that I was given. Matter of fact, that was given to me in my class by District Governor Beverly Gent Skrzynski, who is on this call with us today. We do have several past district governors. Obviously, we have past district governor Beverly. We have past district governor Mike DeVonzo, past district governor Cheryl Warren on here with us. We are joined today by our district governor, Patricia Myers from the Hudson Clock Tower Club. And she is, you know, this year has been a different year for us all. And man, I can tell you one thing, our district governor's done a great job this year. And I look forward to following in her footsteps next year. But look at what our clubs have done this year as well. Our clubs didn't sit back and just do nothing through this pandemic that we're dealing with. We all stepped up. Our clubs are doing great projects throughout our communities and also throughout the world. I know there's projects right now in our district going on in, I believe it's Kenya, down Central America, and then every one of our communities. And then we had several clubs that came together with the district and did a project which sent PPE to the local hospitals. And I think that grant was around $25,000. So we have been active. You know, we've done what Rotarians do. We step up. And your year, it's going to be a little different again. You're going to be stepping up in a different way. You're going to be hopefully getting back to some sort of normalcy. And, you know, it's going to be different again. So, you know what? Take a minute, step outside your comfort zone, step outside the box, try something new, and let's see if we can have fun as we move into next year. Some other introductions I'd like to make are our planning committee for these sessions, which is headed up by Ryan Knotts, who is our district trainer and our leads co-chair. Again, past district governor Cheryl Warren, past district governor Mike DeVonzo, district governor nominee David Jones, and Julie Brohart. Those individuals have worked very hard over the last, I don't know, since July, before maybe, to help put these programs on and get these up for you. Our leads committee, we have quite a few different leads committee members with us today. And unfortunately, I can't see everybody because I'm in, let's go to gallery mode. I'm having a hard time here. But, you know, we have, I think everybody's got by their names, you know, their committees, but Adam Sonhalter, who is also the co-chair for our leads committee. Trying to see who else is on today. Going through, I think I think everybody, I've gone through everybody on there. Pat Myers has sat on our leads committee as well. And let's see, Peter Tuttle, who is our membership chair. He also sits on our leads committee. So hopefully I am not leaving anybody out. So, but one thing I do want to apologize at some point, I am going to have to step away. I have a septic system that's backing up into my house, and the plumbers should be showing up any minute. So I just want to apologize ahead of time if I got to step away. But with that, looking at our years, again, have fun, enjoy your year. There's a lot that you're going to experience. I had a blast. I wish I could have done the presidency a couple years in a row. That's how much I did enjoy it. Today, though, let's see what time we're on. All right. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce somebody who's very special to me today. Our speaker, Ivan Villasboa. I got to know Ivan in 2013 when he came to our club and presented on projects which our club had been involved with, water projects in El Salvador. At which time, I believe I told this a little bit of this at one of our previous meetings, but he asked for, individuals to come down to be part of a delegation trip. And after the meeting, I did go up and I talked to him. I asked him some questions and introduced myself, and just tried to be a friendly Rotarian. I had no intention at that point of going on a delegation trip to El Salvador. And then the next thing I know, my father puts his hand on my shoulder and says, "Here's your first delegate." And from there, Vaughn and I formed a friendship that has really been life-changing. We've spent a lot of time together going around to a lot of the clubs, a lot of your clubs that are here today. We've been out and talked about water projects. The water projects that we've talked about have brought water to Central America, to El Salvador. It's also not only just brought water, it's brought education to the communities through economics, through leadership, as well as it's brought time to the communities, which is something that, it's hard to explain what time is until you see that some people just don't have it. They are they have to do certain things to survive throughout the day. But when you give people water, that gives them time for education, for starting businesses. It's something special. And it's something that Ivan really opened my eyes to. I had no clue before I made this trip to El Salvador. I've been down there 3 times now with Ivan, and each time I've learned something new. I've met new people, and my Rotary experience would not have been what it has been to this point without Ivan. Ivan was born in Argentina. He is actually a citizen of 3 countries: Argentina, the United States, and El Salvador. He has been the programs director at CoCoDA, an organization which we have worked with for many years. He has spent about 30 years as the director of water or of programs for CoCoDA. And recently he has retired from that, and he will be joining the CoCoDA board of directors shortly. But in the meantime, what he does for a living is he works for the Department of Homeland Security. He works with the immigration courts, and I'm sure he's going to tell a little bit more about that. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Ivan.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hey, thank you, Larry. At some point, I thought I was hearing my own eulogy. I appreciate your kind words, and I have to say that your friendship also has meant a lot to me over the years, and it's actually a little bit of what I wanted to talk to you about. Is the friendships and the bonds that that you make as a Rotarian, as a citizen of the world, which is one of the things that has been so important for me for many years. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet, which coincidentally is the best way to describe myself. I was born in Argentina, like Larry mentioned. I left home when I was 13 years old. And I've been pretty much roaming around the world ever since. I came to the United States in January of 1991. I went straight from a huge cosmopolitan city, Buenos Aires, to the middle of nowhere in Indiana, Greencastle, which was a town, I think it was at that time like 25,000 people, if that. And talk about a cultural shock for me. I had never been to the US before. My English was not so good, but I was able to manage. When I came here, I came with the hopes and the dreams of becoming a banker. That's what I always wanted to do. My ultimate goal was to be president of Citibank International, have a huge office overseeing skyscrapers in New York. And I wanted to become a millionaire. And then I wanted to go back to Argentina, become the economic minister or president of the national bank and fix all of Argentina's economic problems, which we've had a good share of them over the years. And that was the plan. So I wanted to graduate in Indiana, then go study probably in Chicago and keep going up the ladder of the banking world in the United States and international. Little did I know on my senior year at DePauw, and I don't know if you're very familiar with the history of what was happening in El Salvador. El Salvador went through a horrific civil war between 1980 and 1992. And, you know, after the Nicaraguan revolution and, you know, the whole dominoes effect coming out of Vietnam and everything, there was a strong involvement by the United States into what was happening in El Salvador. And they signed their peace accords in January of 1992. And in January of 1993, my university sent a group of about 30 students to El Salvador to work in a remote mountainous area, which had been hit very hard by the war. And I was one of a handful of native Spanish speakers at the university, so I was asked to be part of that group. Usually students have to pay for these service trips. Since I was going to help with interpreting, and my trip was paid for. I had already secured an internship with Citibank in New York for that winter break. But I really liked the opportunity to do this. So I talked to some of the people at the bank. They said, well, you know, that's going to look great on your resume. Just go ahead and do it, you know, and after you graduate, you know, you're as good as hired. So I was very excited about doing that. So we went to El Salvador. When we arrived there was just shy of a year of the signing of the peace accords. The situation was still very fragile. The area where we were, we had both the guerrillas and the army and the United Nations all in one small area, and the United Nations in the middle, trying to keep both sides apart, trying to keep the ceasefire going. And just to make a long story short, one of the biggest things that I had to endure during that trip was the fact that we didn't have water almost at all. We had to filter every day water for all of us. We were running water filter pumps 24 hours a day. And we were given a bucket yay big every day of water for every 2 people for drinking, brushing your teeth, cooking, showering, everything. So every morning you would get your bucket of water and you would sit with your partner and figure out, okay, how are we going to use this water today? Obviously, most of it was for drinking, and brushing our teeth every 2 or 3 days, and we didn't get to shower very often. So I learned and to appreciate the fact that there's thousands and millions of people around the world that still today have a very hard time accessing water, something that we all take for granted, and it's probably the most valuable commodity other than time that exists in the world. And those two, time and water, are probably one of the least appreciated commodities in the world today, which is something that has continued to baffle me ever since. So after that, because of that trip, I began to have second thoughts about where I was planning my life to go. I befriended one of the local leaders from El Salvador in the village where we were staying. And it's somebody that has had a profound impact in my life. This was a guy that never went to school. He didn't know how to read or write, but to this day, he's still the wisest person I have ever met, and has shaped the person that I became. So right before we were supposed to go back, I was having, I guess I had my middle crisis at the age of 22. And I was so, I am a Catholic, and, we strive on guilt. So I was so guilty about, the privileges that I had, the opportunities that I had. So I really, really didn't know what to do. I was completely baffled. So I sat down with Antonio, and I asked him, Antonio, please, tell me, what should I do? I really wanted to stay and help as much as I could. And then he would always had his really big straw hat. He put it in his hand, looked at me after 5 minutes, and then he said, I can't tell you what to do, but all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you, where do you think you can be most effective? And that just led up that was my eureka moment. So I realized, okay, I was just another set of hands, doing work like everybody else could do. But if I went back to the States and shared the stories about what was happening in El Salvador, the needs that they have, I could be a voice for them in the US and help them in better ways that I could over there. So that moment, so every time in my life where I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, I just pause, think of Antonio, and ask myself, where do I think I can be most effective? And the answer to that question, if it matches what you're doing, to me, it means you're in the right path. I have strayed from it a few times, and sitting down with myself with a good glass of wine and an open mind, and I ask myself that question again, and then that has always brought me to the right path. So I want to encourage you to do the same. Every time you have any doubts about anything you are going to embark to, think, where can I be most effective? And be true to yourself, and the answer to that question will help guide you in the appropriate way. So I came back, I joined this very small organization called CoCoDA, which Larry mentioned. So I went from wanting to make, a 6-figure salary to making $100 a month. And I thought it was the best job anybody could have. I worked in CoCoDA for close to 30 years. And like Larry mentioned, I retired just a couple of months ago. And I joined the Department of Justice, now working in immigration court as a Spanish interpreter. So my job is to basically help Spanish-speaking individuals to understand the proceedings and be able to follow what's happening and be able to express themselves and have a fair trial and have their day in court, which is one of the core values in our democracy here, to be able to, everybody's equal under the law and everybody has the right to a fair trial. Just to share a few things, one of the things that I started doing, my very first presentation for CoCoDA was in October of 1993 to the Greencastle Rotary Club. That's where the university was located. We were trying to get water for a village, and Larry has done this trip a few times with me. The water source where people were getting the water, it's really deep down a ravine. And it's usually, as most of you know, it's up to women and children to get water. And women and children spend countless hours every day to just going back and forth to get water for all their daily necessities. And this water fountain, it was in such a treacherous location that women were always having problems, falling down, having severe issues trying to make it there. So that was my very first project for CoCoDA. And I think it was, if I remember correctly, back then, it was like $100,000 project. It was very expensive. And the club couldn't say, you know, we cannot raise that kind of money. So I pitched the project countless times in countless clubs all over the United States, always getting the same answer. Then I strayed off the path for a couple of years. I went on to work for a telecommunications company, traveling all over the world. And then when I came back to CoCoDA, the project was still undone. So I went again to the Rotary Club in Greencastle, hoping that the second time would be successful. And I got the same answer, you know, we can't do this by ourselves. This is too big. And then it just dawned on me, well, why is it just one club that has to do this? Why don't we get several clubs to commit, you know, even if it's $500, but just get a network of Rotary clubs, everybody pitching in what they can, and together, you know, going to request district designated funds and go to Rotary International, and just instead of having it be one picture, have it be a puzzle, and everybody is one little piece of it. And I didn't realize at that time when I thought of that, how that had changed me in the way that all of a sudden I went from visiting a handful of clubs to literally visiting dozens of clubs, Rotary clubs all over the Midwest and the East Coast, and the friendships that I made as a result of that. That's probably being one of those unintended consequences of something that you decide to do that in the end turns out to be something beautiful in your life. If there's one thing I've always admired of Rotary is, I always use this example. If the world disappeared today, every human being is gone, and there's an alien civilization that comes, you know, thousands of years from now, and they start looking around, they will find out about Rotary in two things: the work Rotary has done in water and the work that Rotary has done in polio. Amongst, you know, all the other things that Rotary does, but I think that those two issues, water and polio, have been defining issues for which Rotary will always be remembered and very much appreciated. And of course, you know, for me, having learned that lesson about the importance of water, I realized that having a partnership with Rotary was just a perfect match for what the organization was trying to accomplish, and for the goals and objectives of Rotary and Rotary International. And so basically, I started traveling all over the Midwest, speaking at Rotary clubs. I had clubs that gave me $200. I had clubs that gave me $5,000. But the one thing that I always try to emphasize is, you know, sometimes it's easy to give money. You know, just write a check, you give it, and you just take off that off your plate. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I was always trying to get to something more. For me, I always kind of say, okay, I accept your donation, but you also commit that when the project is inaugurated, you pledge to send one member from your club to El Salvador to participate on a delegation to inaugurate the project. Because for me, it was not just, it's not just about the money. You know, it's beyond that. And it's, you know, kind of like the four-way test. You know, for me, that's exemplified in this. You know, just giving money doesn't fulfill all our commitments to the four-way test. But being there, sharing, learning from one another, that's what Rotary is all about. You know, building goodwill and better friendships. That for me has been at the core of Rotary. And I also knew that if I took you to El Salvador and you went there and meet the people, then you would want to give me more money. So it was also like a self-fulfilling objective. But it just, the friendships that I made throughout the years because of my involvement with Rotary have been just amazing. Two of my very best friends are Rotarians today. And I have to thank the work that I've done for the foundation and my relationship with Rotary for that. And I'm sure you know all of this because you've gone through this yourselves. You know, you're all members of clubs, and I'm sure the friendships you have made there are very valuable to you and the ones that you will continue to make. As President-elect, I will ask you to, especially today, there's a big push for looking inward. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's very important to fix problems at home. But we also need to understand that everything we do here also has repercussions abroad. And the only way that we can better ourselves and better our country is by connections, by sharing and learning from other people that have a different point of view, that look different than ourselves. And Rotary is an amazing medium to do all of that while at the same time helping people by providing water, sanitation, polio vaccines, or any other projects that your clubs will be involved. So I will ask you to, you know, of course, focus on your community because that's always, you know, the priority, but there you also leave some time and some resources to look outside, look internationally, and because in the end that will be more beneficial and will bring more understanding and better relationships and friendships all the way around. And I just want to finish with one quick story because I'm glancing the watch and I'm kind of running out of time. One of the projects that we did, water projects that we did, which was the first solar power project that was done in El Salvador. It's the first solar energy project community-wide to provide water to an entire village that was done in El Salvador. And I remember, you know, it took us about 2 years to put it all together. So right before the inauguration, the engineer and I are going throughout the village, just checking things, making sure everything was working. Because, you know, there are always things that need to be tweaked. So I remember we got to this house, and there was this very old couple. She looked to me like she was over 100 years old. The cutest thing she was. And just as we coming into the door, there's a group of kids walking down the street. And she just lost it and just went off on one of these kids. Where the heck have you been? I've been working for you since 5 in the morning to bring the water to fix breakfast. You didn't shower, you didn't eat. Where have you been? Your grandpa and I are waiting. And then the kid just looked at his grandma and he just went like this. you know, there's water there. So she looked at me and I did the same thing, you know. So the engineer opens up the faucet and water started coming out. And she just covered, she went like this, and with tears in her eyes, she said, I never thought I'd live to see this day. And that's something that still gets to me and exemplifies the value of everything that we do and everything that you are doing, that Rotary does, that we are able to help people have a decent, a more decent life. And till the day she died, every time I went to El Salvador, I would stop by her house. She would always fix me a little cup of coffee. And, you know, and those were the days that made everything worth it. So I will pray for you, that your year goes well. With everything that's going on, I think the work that you'll be doing and the connections you're going to try to accomplish are going to be even more valuable than ever. I want to thank again Larry and wish him the very best on his year. I hope you know how hard he's worked and how I know how hard he's going to work this next year. And you're happy to have him as your governor. Thank you. If you have any questions, sorry if I've been rambling, but that's the kind of person I am. I like to ramble.
Yes, Yvonne. My name is Steve. I'm from Akron, Ohio. I have a question. And thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you. You are the message, and really deeply appreciate you. My question is this, is with your heart and your passion for water in El Salvador, where is the nation currently in realizing fresh water? Where is the nation currently in that process?
Well, the area where we were working, and I don't remember right now, you know, the original statistics, but we went from probably like 30% coverage back in the day to last time I was there, which was a couple of years ago, 97% coverage. Now, that's not to say that that's the situation nationwide. There's been a push in the last few years to privatize the national water system, which has been met with a lot of opposition, especially in the rural areas, because basically the national water company they're very good at charging you, but they're not very good at providing service. And for very small villages up in the mountains, these companies that don't believe it's profitable for them to make the investment to bring the water, because of how much they can charge, they will not recoup that investment. So it's been left to local municipal governments and local non-governmental organizations and organizations like ours to make that investment. But then they want to come in after you put in the money and then take control of the system. That hasn't happened, fortunately. The way we've set up the systems is that the village becomes owner of their own water system, kind of as a cooperative. They set up a water board, and all the houses have water meters. So everybody has to pay a monthly fee, which they figure out how much it is in each situation. So they have enough money to pay for any electrical bill. If it's not a solar power project, pay for a plumber that is in charge of fixing stuff, and then pay for administrative person. Now, the projects that we started at the beginning have been so successful that the village has also already saved substantial amounts of money from the water systems that now they're reinvesting it in their communities for community-wide projects. So I hope that answers your question. At the national level, I know there are still issues. Pollution is also a very, very complicated issue that has been added to the mix. I have not been in El Salvador for the last 2 or 3 years, so I'm not exactly sure with the new government what their policy has been.
Thank you.
I'd like to
You're
say
welcome.
something too, if I could, on behalf of District 6630, Ivan, and Rotary International. Thank you. Thank you so much for your leadership. You really, it's very inspiring to hear someone of faith follow what they're told to do and to follow their heart in serving others. But also, this you have combined with other people to create lasting change, which, as you know, is the vision of Rotary. And that's what we're dedicated to do. So very inspiring. Thank you so much. You brought
Thank
tears
you, Pat.
to my eyes
Thank
as well.
All right, Yvonne, I'd like to thank you very much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
You know, always, you know, the story that you ended with has always been my favorite. It has touched my heart every time I hear it, kind of like you when you tell it. And I've used it so many times in my presentations to clubs. It shows how much these projects do mean to the communities, whether it's local or international, that Rotary does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And in the chat, you know, just to let you know, in the chat box, I don't have a whole lot of questions. I'm going to open it up for questions here in a minute. Obviously, we've had a couple already, but we have quite a few people who are thanking you and telling you or saying how inspiring this talk was, and it was. You know, I always am inspired when I hear, you know, you or anybody from CoCoDA or the individuals that I've worked with throughout El Salvador, whether it's been ADIS or, you know, any of the NGOs. So I very much thank you again for being here for us and for our PEs today.
Thank you for having me. And again, I wish you the very best on your presidential tenure.
Yeah. So with that, I will open it up. If there are questions, feel free to either put them in the chat or raise your hand, and we will ask you to present those.
I know some of the clubs heard about other clubs volunteering and donating money. And Larry, I remember the period of time you came to our club and we gave 500. Many of the other clubs may not know about those kinds of projects and how they can get involved in global grants as a participant, even not being the lead. Would you mind giving a little more information on that and how you got clubs involved and how that money was used?
Is that for me or Larry? Go ahead, Larry.
Okay. Well, I was going to say either one of us could answer that. You know, we came up with the project ahead of time. You know, we did the write-ups, we did the community assessments on the villages. And then once we had the plan put together and the story put together of that village that we were going to be working with, we looked at clubs throughout the district. Well, not just our district. We actually, you know, I looked throughout our district, Yvonne looked throughout several others. And we set up talks just at the local clubs, telling the story of the village, telling what we were wanting to do and what the benefit was going to be towards that community. And I think by doing that, just telling the story is the best way to get clubs involved. Once clubs do hear the story, they want to be a part of it. And as Vaughn said, we didn't ask for generally we didn't put an ask out for money at those talks. We asked for participants. We asked for partners. And then, the questions always came around, well, how much could we give? And it's as much as the club is able to. If it's $100, hey, that's great. You're part of the project. But we still would like you to be personally involved. And that was the message that we carried forward throughout our presentations. We weren't going in with our hands out necessarily. We were looking for partners. And I think that's, Vaughn, is that the best way to describe how we approach this?
Yes, because I think this is one of those things that sell themselves. If you want to use a business analogy, and like I mentioned before, if just writing the check, that's a one-time thing. But if you go and you meet the folks there, you see the projects that have been done, the ones that we're working on, and the ones that we want to work in the future, then you come back and you just want to be a part of the process, not just, it's not just one date, it's a long-term relationship. So what Larry and I had done with those projects, usually either together or him in Ohio and me making presentations in Indiana, is we would just share with individuals what the projects were, what we're doing today, and inviting them to come. And that has always been for me the most important thing, because once people go, I know then that person will be a champion for us and a champion for Rotary in terms of putting these programs together. All the parts of putting the proposal and the matching grant, Larry has done. And I mean, I consider, it's such a sometimes a very convoluted process. Larry has always made it look easy. He always knows how to put together these proposals. So he would be an amazing resource for any of the clubs, to band together and put proposals to Rotary International for these kinds of things. And the good thing about it is that, a club that is a small club, we always done it in a way that every project, a different club can take the lead. So everybody gets kind of their 15, their opportunity to shine. So even if it's with all donations are important, but in terms of size, maybe something you would not consider substantial, you can still be the lead on an international project. And always remember that also brings designated funds towards the district. It brings community and relationships and networking with other clubs, which then, you do this project and then you can partner with these very same clubs on other projects, on some of your local projects. So it's a win-win, no matter how you look at it.
So Larry, forgive me, I asked a question earlier, but a session of this magnitude kind of lends to this question. Rotary International has been so wonderfully effective in what we've been able to do with polio over the last number of years and essentially eradicate it. So we know there are a number of organizations in the world that are involved in wanting to get fresh water to people in need. So what is the next?
The back door.
What is the possibility of Rotary using the victory of polio as a springboard to position ourselves into fresh water in the world? And the reason I ask the question is you talk about relationships and you talk about the net and the integrity of what's been built worldwide. And yes, this is something that's it's like eating the elephant, but why, or is there a possibility that Rotary International could position itself as fresh water being the next major challenge or approach for the worldwide club? That's my question.
That's a good question. I am not sure where Rotary International, what their focus will be on next, but interesting enough, they just added a new area of focus this year, which is environmental. So, that could be a possibility that they are, obviously they are going to be looking at environmental issues as we move forward. Water is environmental, obviously. I don't know that they will make it in the near future, a focus like polio. But I can tell you this, probably out of the majority of the grants that are going on throughout the world, a lot of them are water based. If you look at able to look through the grants that Rotary International approves, a lot of them are water. So, because water one is probably one of the most important elements to our lives. So,
Yeah,
but
I
I
agree with.
can't really speak on what Rotary is going to do for that.
Yeah, I agree with Larry. I don't know policy-wise if it's something that Rotary International will present, but I think already people know Rotary because of the work with water, whether it was intentional or not, as it was with the issue of polio. Everybody relates in many ways, at least international anyways, the work of Rotary with the work of water. And like Larry mentioned, this new environmental focus, both water and solar power go within it. Now, we've done 3 international grants with Rotary, matching grants. They're all been approved. I don't know if it's just luck or it's because, when you have a proposal to Rotary International that involves 30 Rotary clubs from 4 different districts in the US and international that focus on water, that is a double whammy for Rotary International. There's, in terms of it ticks all the boxes of what Rotary International is looking for when it comes to projects. So if you bind together on a project of this type with so many different clubs in so many different districts, if you put a good proposal, it has really good chances of moving forward.
All right, and I did see a question come up from Garish from Chagrin Highlands. The question is towards me: can Rotary tap into knowledge base of members who have worked in environmental issues? And the answer is, in short, Garish, yes. They do tap into the knowledge base of the members. Matter of fact, there are special groups throughout Rotary that focus on environmental issues. Matter of fact, there's a group that just focuses on water and sanitation. Those are groups that we can actually, probably in a future session with that question, we will put those list of some of those groups together for everybody, so everybody can maybe get out and get a little bit more involved in Rotary. So why don't I just put that on my list for one of our future meetings. So anything else, anyone? If not, we're going to go to our next poll. And you'll see it on your screen right now. Again, kind of like the previous poll, please, PEs, you're going to be the ones answering these. I am motivated to lead my club. What is, we do have several answers here or that you can answer. Strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly agree. So take a moment, think about if you're motivated to lead your club, and I hope you all are. And there we go. So very positive answers. 64% strongly agree, and 36% agree. Nothing else on there. That's awesome. As I said, part of being motivated to lead your club is realizing that you need to have fun doing it. Enjoy your time. It's if you don't enjoy what you're doing, the club's going to see it. So always approach it with your style.
Thank you so much for your attendance so far this morning. Hopefully we still have another hour and a half of stimulation. But Yvonne was great. Like, he really was very inspirational, talked about the commitments and connections we make within Rotary. He also talked about the passion and having that defining issue. And as you move into your role as club president, the question for you is, how do you build those connections within your own club? What is something that you can do next year? And maybe it's a continuation of a great program that's been ongoing for a while, or it's something new as far as just to, deepen those connections within your club and inspire fellow Rotarians. I think we all agree as far as, again, when we get a large group of us together, there's a lot of things we can accomplish. So that's important to consider. As was mentioned by several people, there's a lot of great upcoming fundraisers and projects going on this year more than any other. It's important to support one another. And I know personally, since I'm not going out to eat, I'm not traveling, I have a little bit more discretionary funds where I can do that as far as I can support my fellow Rotarians. So take advantage of that. One other comment before we move on. I know in the chat after Yvonne spoke, District Governor nominee David Jones posted a link to a Rotary International Action Group. And as far as it's one way as far as find out more about things that are going on globally, but also getting involved some way, somehow, whether it's just bringing information back to your club or taking it deeper than that. So we've got a few minutes here before we start our first breakout group. Real quickly, as far as we're not going to necessarily show you this stuff. Most of you are already aware, but there are great resources out there to help you get ready for your year as club president. And one of those is the Rotary International Learning Center. And hopefully some of you have ventured out to rotary.org and gotten into there to start looking at your club's information, but also as far as resources available. There are a myriad of courses online, either for you or for your other club leaders that can help you. We're talking membership, we're talking about service, we're talking about leading your club, a number of things that can be beneficial just to give you the tools to succeed. Beyond that, we have the District 6630 webpage, and one of those subpages is the President-elect page. We have recordings of our previous 3 fall sessions. We'll have a recording today of this session, not including the breakouts. But as far as there's also tools on there, whether it is strategic planning, Rotary Club Health Check, there's a lot of things that can be beneficial to help you. I know when I was club president, 2015, 2016, I got this 3-ring binder that was 3 inches thick. I had all these paper manuals. We don't do that anymore. Thankfully, that's helpful for the environment. But there is the Club President Manual that has a lot of information. And really that is, if you ever questions, what do I need to be doing? It lays it out. And when I say it's 80 pages, it's pretty short. There's a lot of pages that are for planning as far as you can jot down notes. It's not that long and it's a good read. After that, there are a lot of people who want to see you succeed. So whether at the club level, at the district level, at Rotary International level, there are people there to support you. Hopefully some of you have already started to build connections with your assistant governor, and that individual represents the district governor, and they have as far as a cluster of anywhere from 4 to 6 clubs that they get together and they help out that are in close vicinity. find someone that you connect with. It could be someone from another club. It could be a past president, but someone that can kind of help answer those late night questions as far as when you run into them. They'll be a great resource, and that's something, again, to help you succeed. So what we're going to do next is we are going to break off into a small group session. We're going to have two of these. The first one is going to be on planning community service in this environment, because we have no idea how long this environment will last, or if we're going to need to adapt and evolve. I've heard some clubs talk about having a hybrid virtual and in-person club after this is all over. We'll see. There's no right or wrong. It's what works best for you and your members. So the first small group, we're going to break off here about 25 minutes. There will be a facilitator and a scribe, because we're not recording the breakout sessions, but the scribe will jot down notes, and we will collate those and disseminate all the good things to everyone who participated. And as far as they're just going to lead you through that conversation so you can share with one another. I know as far as in your preparation, we want to inspire you. So we have great speakers like Yvonne. We want to connect you with resources, and there's a lot out there. But we also know that you want to engage with one another. You want to connect, you want to hear from, and you want to learn from your peers. So we're going to break you off here 25 minutes. At the conclusion of that 25 minutes, we will bring you back. And as far as we're going to ask for some best ideas that you're going to share with the main group. So please designate a speaker to do that. Only 2 or 3 minutes, not a lot. And then we'll do one final breakout after that. Cheryl, are we ready? And then one last piece. If you haven't, please turn on your videos. Again, we like to see smiling faces. This will be a time to unmute yourself. We want you to engage. We want you to talk. We want you to interact and deepen some of those connections. All right, so hopefully everybody's back. So hopefully that was a good conversation. I know our group got pulled out right in the middle, which is good. Like, it's good to have as far as that communication and just sharing with one another. So we have a few minutes here, really just looking for some high key points from each group. I'm going to start with Bob. So as far as Bob is, I don't know if it's you or someone from your group, but just 2 to 3 minutes, some key takeaways from your small group.
Right, it's going to be Ray Glinka. He's going to give our key points.
Okay, yeah, so for our group, we had, a lot of success with the, online meeting, people, it helps with elderlies and snowbirds, some things we discussed. There was a lot of, sounds like need and, used for personal protection equipment, face masks, gloves, all of that type of stuff. We had different, throughout the different clubs, we had, some good ideas. For instance, birthday bags for children who otherwise might not get to kind of have a birthday celebration. There was support in local clubs for, in one case, an astronomy club. We had a flower drive, along with, I know for our club personally, we had a rose sale, which was centered kind of more around Sweetest Day. There was definitely some chili cook-offs that people were involved with, and, some reverse raffles. And, in one case, there was working on a pollinator garden that sounded pretty awesome. And then one idea that I thought was good, I think groups, especially in the environment we have kind of moving forward, would be like what was termed a friendship tree, where you can, go online and create places to advertise and promote different projects that are going on. So it's kind of like a 1-2 spot that you can go and kind of spread the word, because as we all know, sometimes that's half the battle, is just getting the word out of all the great events that we have coming up. So you know, those were kind of some highlights, along with supporting local food banks. And, you know, again, we did an adopt a family, which was able to do virtually as well. So those were highlights of what we discussed in our cluster.
Thank you, Ray.
Mhm.
And then, as we mentioned previously, asking that each scribe send the materials as far as notes to us, and we'll collate those and disseminate those to everyone for after the fact. But greatly appreciate that. Peter, you or someone from your group reporting?
Peter, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I got to find myself here.
You're good now.
Where's Elena? Elena's supposed to be doing the reporting. And did we lose her in the transition here?
I'm here.
Okay.
I was just muted.
What are you up to?
You're up. You know, why don't you share with the group what we talked about?
All right, so we have diversity in our clubs. The group has some clubs that had a lot of challenges because they are older group, and there are some other groups that transitioned a little bit more effectively. So we spoke about transition, and we spoke about how to survive in the situation and how to make a future working for us, and how to help each other because united we stand, and how to make more effective moves through the situation through the challenges that we are facing. So there were a lot of things that we found very useful speaking to each other, because through those challenges, each of us made an effort, and each effort was unique. And when we were talking, we found a lot of interesting approaches through, just the communication, which is important. So that was very effective talk, and very good for our future, for the future of our club, and for the future of our group of clubs. Sorry for my accent. I am trying, and I make an effort.
You're doing great,
Sound
Elena,
fine.
so we appreciate that. So Adam sneakily designated me as the reporter from our group. So like 2 minutes ago, he's like in the chat, can you report? I'm like, sure. But no, I think as far as all of us are seeing challenges, we had the larger clubs in our group, and it seems like there's been a lot of pivoting as far as pivoting from doing larger group service projects to smaller. So as far as still executing projects, but probably to a different degree. Also pivoting as far as connecting as far as needs, and that could be needs from our community that members bring up or that they're aware of, to as far as people who can help solve those needs, and connecting some service projects from just speakers. So as far as I know, what the larger groups talked a lot about that, as far as just making that connection. And Rotary is about relationships. So basically, if we can fulfill those needs, I know we talked about how some organizations are becoming a little bit more check writing this year than actual boots on the ground. But if we can fulfill those needs, or if we can connect it with another organization. So still doing projects, but as far as obviously been a different year. So again, thank you everyone for sharing and participating. We have one more breakout next. And it's funny, our group started to basically flow into this. So the last breakout today is on fellowship and how we as Rotarians are connecting with one another. So I know that some clubs are doing hybrid, they meet in person, some are doing all online virtual. But how are we retaining our members? How are we engaging our members? Have we seen an increase because more people can participate? we've seen a decrease because people are tired of the Zoom box or whatever that is. So next breakout, 25 minutes, really on engaging, retaining membership through fellowship in today's environment and how that's going to evolve. So similar structure, you'll be with your same people. We'll come back and report, and then we'll wrap up and close out for today. Still the case. All right, so welcome back, everybody. We are currently coming to a close. So Adam, I know that you're going to report here for your group on best takeaways for fellowship this last session.
You're making me do all the work in our group. All right. So we had some good sharing with our group in terms of ways to try to keep folks engaged. You know, like one of the examples that was given actually in the prior session, we talked about, you know, create like these hiking trails, a chance for folks to kind of get out and try some different things. There was a discussion about having some reach out as well in terms of just, you know, getting some folks to be able to reach out and touch base with some new potential folks to invite into the groups. There's some of our folks were talking as well as about just reaching out to members who aren't showing up, just to kind of touch base with them to see how they are doing, you know, as a way to do that. During the meetings themselves, one of our presidents is being very, very creative in terms of just making sure that every time that they have their meetings, they're taking a part of the meeting and making part of the agenda is to call on certain members and just ask them to answer trivia questions, you know, whether it be, you know, some holiday themed questions or something like that, or some personal stuff. Other folks have tried to have them interview folks as well. But again, it's purposely calling out some folks to kind of have them there. Part of it too, which seems to be very, very good, is some of the clubs are having good luck where they've kept their meetings pretty close to what they are in person, right? So they're having speakers, that they're having, you know, kind of go around the room and having their happy bucks and stuff like that. So they're keeping it as close as they can to what it was like in person, and that seems to be keeping people engaged, keeping them coming back as well. So those are some of the highlights that I recall from what we were talking about just a few minutes ago. If there are other things that I missed, anybody in our group, you're welcome to jump in. I'll take that as a no. So there you go. I must have covered it all, Ryan. There you go.
You're awesome, Adam. All right, thank you so much. So as far as Peter, I don't know if you have the same reporter from your group, but just kind of key takeaways from your group.
You're muted.
Elena's reporting out. Where is Elena?
I'm here.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, all right. So it was a great small group talk, and we spoke about the different challenges that we got this year through the time where we were restricted of our usual activities. And I really like the points that Cassandra from Fairlawn group, I mean from Fairlawn Club spoke about. And then I listened to the very impressive ideas of Geneva Club. And yeah, all our clubs had the same kind of challenges, but what we agreed on is that if we're setting the goals and those goals are there for us, we will find the way to reach those goals and to accommodate all those challenges. And together, we just like found out that there are different goals that we can achieve, and we just have to set them properly and to have a time frame and to look forward to what we can do. Then all the members that we are looking to engage, will plug in, and a lot of people will be interested, because we're not only like lost, like, what can we do, but we actually are achieving something that is great for community. And people come in and bring their own thoughts and bring their own ideas how to get to where we want to get to. So that was very, very interesting and very helpful group meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elena and Peter. So Bob, is Ray reporting for your group?
Yep. Yeah. So we just discussed, a lot of the challenges with getting new people in, especially if trying to grow the younger generation, have to be cognizant that a lot of times they're working, people with, children to get off to school and make sure they're, so, might have to sometimes maybe even look for groups in the district or close by that make a little more sense based on the meeting schedule, although Zoom's obviously made it somewhat easier to do that. Discussed even sometimes like having, like inviting friends or family, and don't overlook them to be part of the Rotary group. And then oftentimes, like when you invite speakers in, make sure that they let their friends and family know that, hey, why don't you join for this, this day per se. And then sometimes when they get to see what is all about that we're doing and some of the cool things, then they may stir up interest. Or one final note that someone suggested I thought was a pretty smart idea is just with, the housing market and people moving in and out of the community. And especially if you have like a realtor in the group, drum up like a postcard or just like a welcome to wherever it is you live, and then let them know about your Rotary group and ways to get involved. So I thought that was definitely something that we don't use it now, but that would be something that I might have to suggest,
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah.
All right, so we are quickly coming to a close here as far as you've all been selected as far as to lead your clubs. Your club trusts and assumes that you're going to be the person that's going to be successful. And maybe this wasn't what was expected as far as this type of year and environment, but you're going to be asked to be inspirational as far as to motivate your members. You're going to be asked to connect your members, and whether that's to resources within Rotary or within the community, and to engage them. Those are some things that we want you to think about. You have a little bit under 6 months before you take over, and some of that should be transitioning now. So hopefully you're working with your current club president and other people as far as on those goals, and you're working together. And part of that's just communication. But as far as you have a task, and we know that you'll be successful, and there's people that want to see you be successful, from your club to us at the district level. The more successful you are, the better experience more Rotarians will have. So this is one more mile marker along the road. We have a few more upcoming. So in February, and we will send this out, but on February 18th, it is a Thursday evening. We're going to have PETS-2. And really, this will be low key. Probably not as strong as far as asking everyone to participate. This is going to be more optional. It's going to be, we're going to do some nuts and bolts. Larry and I will, as district governor-elect, but we're going to do some nuts and bolts on just leading your club. And the rest of PETS-2 is going to be more of a study hall. So in other words, questions you have that you don't have answers to, that hopefully we can help either provide or we can point you in the right direction. So Thursday, February 18th, probably about 7 to 8, maybe 8:30, depending on how many people stay, will be our next session. And then after that, this is a bigger one. So All Hail Pets is quickly coming up. I'm going to turn this over to Larry to kind of walk you through the dates and what's going to be covered, but that's another very important mile marker. That one you do need to show up to if at all possible. Larry?
Thank you, Ryan. Yes, all Ohio Pets. This year, obviously we're doing a lot of things a little differently this year. We're trying new things. All Ohio Pets will be like this, virtual. It's going to be exciting. We've been planning this event since last April. It will be on March 11th, 12th, and 13th. The 11th and 12th will be from 6 to 8 in the evening. And the 13th will be from 9 a.m. to 11:45. Each of those days we'll have a speaker. Individuals like a past district governor, Dale Basham he's from an Indiana district. He is exciting. I've seen him talk in the past at previous Pets, all Ohio Pets that I've been to. You won't want to miss him. On Friday, we'll have Jenny Stotts, who, most of us heard our first session. She'll be speaking. On Saturday, we will have the honor to have our Rotary International President-elect, who will be president during our year, Shaker Mata. And he'll be talking at the beginning. And then we will also have a second speaker that day, which is going to be our Rotary International Director, Elizabeth Yusevich, later on in the program. And, she is dynamic as well. So we are going to have some great speakers there. You'll have time with Shaker to ask some questions, and I will be reaching out to all the PEs to send me a couple questions ahead of time, because we'd like to send Shaker some pre-scripted questions, so he has some nice answers for you. And that way he's not just taking answers or a lot of questions right off the cuff. So, but we will be going over a few areas, and I think there are going to be areas of interest. One is leading Rotarians. Another one is engaging Rotarians. So, looking at your membership, how do you engage your current membership? How do you keep them engaged and keep moving forward? We will be looking at fundraising, and we're going to be looking specifically at fundraising in today's environment. So, what's that look like and whatnot? And then our fourth breakout on Saturday will be done by Toastmasters, and they will be talking, kind of giving us hints on how to run meetings, maybe, or how to start a meeting, even. So it should be very interesting to see what they bring to us. Toastmasters is a partner of Rotary International now, so it is a great partnership to bring them in for these trainings, as well as you could reach out to them for your own club meetings. So they do, there are local chapters right here in Northeast Ohio. So, so that, that is what all Ohio Pets will be. It's going to be exciting. We are looking at ways to really keep it energized. So I'm excited as things are coming together. We've been doing a lot of planning, and we want to make sure that we have all the right information for you. On top of AOP, there's a couple other introductions I do want to make here that people that I saw join the meeting after my previous ones. Past District Governor David Skrosinski is joining us. Julie Brandel, who is our District Governor nominee designate, is with us today, as well as Maureen Garnett, who is our Public Imaging co-chair. So, I'd like to, introduce those individuals as well. So thank you for everybody for being here, and I'm going to let Ryan come back here.
All right, thank you so much. So wrapping up real quickly, we have one final poll, and then we'll wrap up here. So Cheryl, poll number 3. Was this session beneficial to me in my preparation? So this is really just for PEs, but you know, we need that feedback as far as, are we hitting upon the right topics, but was this helpful for me during my preparation? Strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree, be honest. All right, so we have results. So 44% strongly agree that this was helpful, 56% agree. Hopefully it was captivating. Thankfully, no one disagreed, but we want to be respectful and honor your time. We know that's also important as you have other commitments outside of Rotary. We are going to wrap up here. I will be sending out an email following up to PETS-1, and that will include, as far as the notes from the breakouts, a PowerPoint with some of the details. So as far as you don't have to scramble to write those things down, as far as upcoming dates. And if you have any questions after PETS-1, by all means, reach out to me. As far as, again, we are here to help. So a big thank you to our facilitators, Adam, Bob, and Peter. Also to our scribes, Julie, and then Bev. And then also, as far as Larry mentioned earlier, the lead subcommittee that's been playing this, Cheryl Warren, Mike DeVanzo, David Jones, Larry Lohman, Julie Bruhart, and myself, as far as we try and do our best to get you ready. So we are thankfully closing before noon. I'm excited about that, but thank you everyone for your participation and have a great weekend. Go Chiefs.
Go Browns.
Browns.
Go Browns.